What's up, everybody? I'm Jactvis, however you want to pronounce it. um, and let's talk about DC. So we've got some leaks about DC movies that are upcoming, and I've got thoughts. Now, James Gunn is apparently in charge of the DC cinematic universe or whatever they want to call it over at DC. And there's been some reports, and he put out a video talking about the first wave. Now, I'm going to give you my initial thoughts before we review this video. I think that DC is making the exact same mistake that they made in the first cinematic universe. So, what do I mean by that? I don't remember if I said that on this channel, but I thought it was absolutely crazy for DC to try to launch a Justice League similar to Avengers immediately after Avengers came out, based on Man of Steel. And they announced that they were doing this before Man of Steel came out. So you had a brand, all we knew at the time was the Batman trilogy is over. So we're getting a new Batman. And we knew Henry Cavill was Superman, and that Man of Steel was coming out. And I was like, Man of Steel could be great, which we know now that it was okay. It was a mixed bag. I think Henry Cavill himself was a great Superman, but I don't think the movie was very good. It wasn't a good Superman movie. It was a good film. It was not a good Superman film. But I said at the time, it's ridiculous for them to justify a Justice League before your first movie even comes out. You don't even know if it's going to be received well. Why would you do that? And so here we go again. The DC universe is basically collapsed, and now they're going to reboot it with some of the same characters based on another movie that has yet to come out. So let's get into this. I haven't actually watched this video, but I have seen some of the things that they're advertising, and it doesn't look pretty. So let's hop over there. Here's the video. So again, I haven't watched this yet, so you'll be getting my first time reaction. I do know some of the movies that they're planning on, so I'll talk about those as we go.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know,
CEO.
DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's great. Now, I think he should leave animation separate. And the reason for that is because the animation is probably the best thing DC has for them now. DC comics are down, DC movies are down, DC shows don't even hold up. So it's like, what do you have, DC? You have your animations. That's the only thing people are watching. Actually, there's a guy at my work who doesn't know anything about any of the other stuff, but he watches the DC animated movies. And I'm like, okay, he hasn't seen Justice League cartoon. He hasn't watched the Teen Titans cartoon, the Young Justice cartoon, but he has seen all the movies. So he's more knowledgeable about them than I am, because I haven't even watched them. But the animation field for DC is so much better than anything else DC has going for them. So let's keep them separate, because right now they're the only thing that's working. But otherwise, I'm all for it. I liked the Flash better from the TV show than I like Ezra Miller. I like, there's other characters that they're bringing into the movies that are way better in the shows, but they're basically just trying to copy Marvel. Let's be real. Also, I will say, I think that James Gunn. I think he's the one that did Suicide Squad 2, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the movie. It wasn't the perfect movie, but I thought it was a decent sequel. And I liked his Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'm not necessarily opposed to him in general.
The characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the four...
That's one thing I love about DC. The continuity is good. Or at least it used to be. So I like the Elseworld and the continuity. I like it, I just assumed that the universes with TV shows and movies were different, so they're going to make them the same. I think that's fine.
Projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now.
All right, so those are the projects he's got lined up. Shazam, which I'm going to be honest, it's the only movie that's superhero related that I'm actually looking forward to. It's the only one. None of the others am I at all. And to be honest, it kind of looks weak. I'm not going to lie, but it kind of reminds me of Doctor Strange 2, which is the reason I haven't even watched that movie yet. I don't know. It's just something about it. It just doesn't look as interesting as the first one. The first one is amazing movie. And the second one, it looks okay, so I'll watch it because I love Shazam. I love me some Captain Marvel. But all right, so the next one was the Flash movie. Probably won't go see that one. I don't like Ezra Miller, and I might watch it on Redbox or something, but I'll be glad when we get a good Flash, because Ezra Miller just isn't a good Flash. I mean, he's not necessarily a bad actor, but he's not a good Barry Allen. And I also didn't really care for the trailer of that. Just to be honest, it just kind of looks like, I feel like they should have just done a hard reboot. Just be like, hey, we're changing everything. We don't need a story to explain it. It's just happening. I feel like that would make me feel a lot better. Also, the Supergirl looked pretty awful in that. They should have just gotten the girl who played Supergirl. She was an excellent Supergirl, even though eventually the show was just terrible. What was the last one? Blue Beetle. If it doesn't have Ted Kord, I'm not going to call him Blue Beetle at this point. Especially because they're bringing Booster, which I'm really excited about. But Booster needs Ted. Come on. All right, keep going.
So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Okay, so that's interesting. I didn't actually know that. I thought this was going to be a movie, so I'm a little bit more interested in this now, because this is something that I feel like you could pull off in an animated movie and then bring them into the movie. So I'm impressed. When I saw the Creature Commandos, I was like, Why? Who wants that? But I feel like that could work well as like an animation and then transfer over. I think that's a clever idea to bring lesser known characters. I mean, I don't know any of these guys. Lewis probably would, but I don't know any of these guys. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting.
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to.
Okay. I'm glad this is just a TV show. I was worried they were going to make this a movie, and I was like, she can't carry her own movie. But since this is a TV show, I can just ignore it, just like I did Peacemaker, and move on with life.
Let's see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
So 2 years, just shy of 2.5 years. I haven't read this run. I've heard it's awful. That's all I know about it. The artwork is terrible, and that's all I need to know. The artwork is terrible. I'm disappointed that they aren't keeping Henry Cavill, because I think he was a great Superman. But it is what it is. Why would you keep? Why would you get rid of him and keep all the other actors? Like, the first person I get rid of is Ezra Miller and get a better Flash. I feel like you got a good Batman, you got a good Wonder Woman, you got a good Aquaman. I think they're getting rid of Batman too, which is kind of annoying. So I thought Batfleck finally won me over, and then they're getting rid of him. You got a good Captain Marvel. So you had some great casts. You've got The Rock as Black Adam. I didn't watch the movie. The movie didn't look really good. But I think The Rock really has the feel of Black Adam, or he looks a lot like Black Adam in the costume. So, that would be one of the guys that I would be trying to keep. Just have a better story than Justice League, or than the Black Adam movie looked like. It really, Black Adam should have been the villain for Shazam 2. Let's be real. That should have been the villain for Shazam 2 is Black Adam. But whatever, let's keep going. So I'm not really looking forward to this, especially since it's a new Superman. I still like Henry Cavill's Superman, even if I didn't like the Man of Steel movie or the Batman v Superman movie. Although I think Batman vs Superman is underrated. It's just, I think it's a fine film. It's not a great film, but it's a fine film. But Justice League was awful. Justice League is. I like Justice League a lot better than I like Batman vs Superman. If they had left out the Doomsday stuff, it would have been better. You can go watch my old videos reviewing that. that'll straighten up what I'm saying here.
Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective, with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops.
Why? Why would you do this to my boys? Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart deserve a movie. These two guys alone could hold their own movie. But DC's afraid because people didn't like the first one. And the first one isn't even that bad. It's a fine movie. The problem that was in the problem with the Green Lantern movie was not the CGI everybody complains about. The problem is that there was too much going on. You had too many villains. They had Hank Henshaw, they had Parallax, and they were hinting hardcore Sinestro changing over to yellow. Also, why is Jon Stewart in yellow in this? Like, he should be green. Like, if you're gonna show off like what it's gonna look like for the show, you should have him with green. That's a yellow lantern, isn't it? Why is he yellow? Green. Jon Stewart is not a yellow lantern. I reject anything that DC's done in the last like 2 years of Green Lantern. But anywho, these two deserve their own film. Like, you could do a Jon Stewart or like a Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, like they did in Rebirth, and it would be amazing. It would be an amazing film. But whatever. Live TV show, that's one I'd probably watch.
Watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine.
You're some random group called The Authority? I've never even heard of them. You're going to make that a movie, but not Green Lantern? You're not going to make Green Lantern a film, but you're going to make whoever this is a film? What is going on at DC? Who is in charge? Who's making these decisions? Let's keep watching.
It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's
So, Wonder Woman isn't good enough for her third film, is basically what that means. Lame.
Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold.
What? It's not even a movie? It's a TV show? Ah! Okay. So I'm assuming that Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake are all in the universe now because we're already to Damian Wayne, the worst of the four Robins. I mean, he's a good Robin, but he's the worst of the four. He's the lowest of the four. He has gotten better in the years since Tomasi and Gleason got a hold of him, but anywho, also Booster Gold deserves his own film. Like, you're giving the Authority a movie, and you're relegating Booster Gold and Wonder Woman to TV shows. Booster is the greatest superhero ever. He would tell you so himself. He deserves his own film, his own industry, his own product line. Not being relegated to some TV show. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that he'll get his own show. Hopefully Ted Kord will be in it too. Maybe we can see some Blue Beetle and Booster Gold flashbacks. That'd be amazing. Me and Lewis will probably get into that. Why would you put the Authority as a film, a group nobody's ever heard of? But Booster Gold, like, he's been around forever. You know, it's been around forever. Why would you not make him? I'm glad that he's coming to live action. Don't get me wrong, but why wouldn't you make that a movie? Whatever. Moving on.
Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth.
More Tom King. Oh. I hope Supergirl looks more like this than she does in the Flash film. Or the Flash movie.
Earth and raised by loving parents. Whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about. A very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now.
I don't mind a Swamp Thing film. I think he could really balance out the monster aspect of the DC universe. So, Gods and Monsters, some of these are good picks. You have Wonder Woman, you have Shazam, you got Superman. Those are all gods, stories about the gods. So that's good. Monsters, you have Waller. She could go, she's a monster herself, but she also, is facing other monsters. Swamp Thing, monster. He is a monster. I guess you could probably, pull off with Booster, him realizing that his desires are monstrous. I don't know where you're going there. He's just a cool character, so I'm not going to complain. But I feel like they're probably just going to give some lame villain for him to fight. It'd be cool if they did someone like the Riddler for him to fight. That'd be really cool. But anywho, Aquaman, that's Gods and Monsters. He's got both gods and monsters under the ocean. I don't know how Blue Beetle really fits in this. Why does Blue Beetle, the lesser Blue Beetle, get a movie, but Booster doesn't? It's probably because it was already in production, but whatever. I'm a little salty. I'm allowed to be a little salty. And the Green Lanterns, the gods make sense if they're in space. They got all sorts of super powerful things. I guess they could do a monster comes to Earth. I don't know. But a TV show. All right, keep going.
Right now, I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you.
And I want the story to be king. I want the characters to be king. That's what I want. I want Booster Gold to be Booster Gold. I want Barry Allen to be Barry Allen. I want Batman to be Batman. I want Superman to be Superman. That's what I want. I want Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan to be Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. I don't care what story you're telling around them. I like those characters. Throw them in a crazy story, whatever story you want to tell, and have that affect them in their own way. It's kind of like I used to watch. One of the things I loved about Psych, the old TV show. I know it has nothing to do with superheroes, but the show became about what weird situation is Sean and Gus going to find themselves in this time? What weird and crazy things are they going to get themselves into? And that was what made the show. They came at it like their normal selves, and then they found themselves in these odd situations, and they just went with it. And that was what was great about the show. But eventually that got tiring, but that's another story. And so, I want the characters to be the characters. I like the character because I like the character. I don't want you to fundamentally change who the character is, like Supergirl, just to tell a different story. I don't care about your other story. I care about the character. So that's like, I don't mind the story being, being all about the story, but first priority is making sure the character is the character, the character that we all love. The second step is making sure it's a good story. So, all right, well, finish.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody.
All right. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I think that they are basically shooting themselves in the feet again, just like they did last time. At least they kind of have a plan that they didn't really have last time. They're like, yeah, let's throw these 2 or 3 movies out and hope that that gets us a Justice League. And I was like, that's not good enough for a Justice League. Like, Marvel, what they did, if you remember, it's a long time ago now. I feel like an old man now. They put out Iron Man 1. They're like, let's see. I didn't even know who the character was back in the day. I didn't even know it was a Marvel character because that was before I knew much about Marvel outside of X-Men. I mean, I knew who Captain America was, but I had no idea who Iron Man was. He just wasn't on my radar at all. I knew who Spider-Man was, of course, but they did Iron Man 1 when that was a huge hit. They did Iron Man 2, and then like they started building. Oh, let's give them Thor. Let's give them Captain America. Let's bring Hulk into this with the Avengers. And when that first Avengers hit, man, it was huge. It was crazy. And DC's like, oh man, we need to do that. But instead of slowly building to a Justice League, they're like, well, this film that we already have in progress, Man of Steel, let's just go ahead and say in 2 movies you're gonna have a Justice League. We'll throw Batman in the next one, so it'll be Batman versus Superman. That way we have Batman and Superman. We'll also throw Wonder Woman in there, so we have the whole Trinity, and that's all you really need for a Justice League. I'm like, that's not what you need for a Justice League, because what happened? You had to introduce all these new characters. Who is the Flash? Who is Cyborg? Why is Cyborg even in the Justice League? Who is this Aquaman dude? So. They're doing it again. At least they're not running to a Justice League. But they're like, here's a bunch of characters that most people don't know and nobody's going to care about. And unlike Marvel, when they launched Guardians of the Galaxy, DC has like no credit to spend on this. So if the next few movies fail or flop or are mediocre, nobody's going to want to go see The Authority. Like, I have no interest in them. I don't even know who they are. I'm glad we might see Robin in a movie again in a few years, but like, well, it's the lesser of the 4, the least of the 4 Robins, but all the better characters are relegated to TV shows like Wonder Woman, like Green Lanterns, like Booster Gold, and you're putting The Authority and Damian Wayne in a movie. I know a lot of people like Damian Wayne, and that's fine. He's not a bad character. He's just not as good as those other characters. And I know that they're hesitant about Wonder Woman because of Wonder Woman 84 or 89. I don't remember. The Wonder Woman 2. They're hesitant because of that movie. And I understand. It makes sense. It's different. Or it didn't do as well as they would have liked. But I feel like Wonder Woman is still like a good franchise, and if you reinvent like they did with Thor, like you could make a really great Wonder Woman 3. So get her into the present, team her up with Batman, and That'd be a great movie. It'd be a great movie. I think one of the problems with '84 is just it was so weird. Like, we loved Wonder Woman from World War One, but the '80s, like, it was just kind of odd. So I don't know. I don't know. Anywho, those are my thoughts. I think DC is kind of making the same mistake they made before. They're counting their eggs before they hatch. At least it's a little better planned. But why would you, like, risk all the unknown characters that nobody knows or cares for, like the Authority, like Waller, like Blue Beetle, I mean, even Booster, as much as I hate to say it, you know, like, why would you risk them? What is the Monster Squad or whatever? You know, again, that's animated, so I can see that that would probably be okay, because the animated DC has lots of credit that they can spend. So people might, you know, you throw Batman on the cover and people will go watch it, but or they'll buy the DVD and watch it. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, guys. I'll catch you next time. Peace.